Welcome back to another episode on Journey to Authenticity, the podcast designed to help you become your true authentic self, create a clear vision for life, and ultimately step into a life of transformation. I'm your host, Braiden Belnap. I'm a transformation life coach, speaker, and entrepreneur dedicated to helping you do just that, transform your life. But what if you're in a position that you're either super low, emotionally, spiritually, physically, or you're at your rock bottom? That's exactly why we have Kenneth Scott joining us today. Because not only has he played for the Utah Utes college football team, but way before that, growing up, he was raised by his mom and a stepfather. And he talks about being at his lowest point and how he consistently persevered and how he used mentors like his stepfather in learning what his talents are, his natural abilities. And as a result of persevering, not only was he gifted the opportunity to play college ball, he has now had the opportunity to help young kids and adults transform their lives through perseverance. With that in mind, welcome to the show, Kenneth. Kenneth, welcome to the show, man.
Man, let's get it. I'm super excited to be here. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. We got to shout out Mitch Matthews for connecting us. He's the man.
Yes, man. Definitely shout out to Mitch. And the way it happened was just pure flow. Shout out to him and his journey on that piece of his business and growing that. So, yeah, much love to Mitch.
Hey, next time you're down here in Utah, Kenneth, you know we're going to hit a flow at Flow House.
Yeah, you bet. I'm doing that. I'm doing some marketing for him. Like, I got to see him succeed. So, definitely.
Absolutely. Well, just to jump into things, Kenneth, I want to take it way back. Yeah. What initially inspired you to jump into the game of football, man?
Man, that's a deep question. For me, I would say what got me into football was I was at a football practice. It was actually my older cousin's football practice. It's a cousin that I look up to more so as a brother, because when we transitioned from Houston, Texas to California, we lived with my aunt and uncle with my two cousins. And then we were at my older cousin's football practice, and I'm on the sideline watching them. And my uncle and I, we were just throwing the football back and forth to each other on the sideline. And for some reason, I used to hear like the coach from afar used to say, whatever it is you're going through at home, whatever it is you got, leave it all out here on the field today. This is where you lay it all out in the field. And for some reason, I connected with that because for so long in my personal life, it was just me and my mom. My mom had lupus, and I was her main caregiver in that piece. You know, my father, he was back in Texas, in and out of jail, on and off of drugs, facing his own demons. And for some reason, I connected with that quote that he said, and it got me attached. And so after practice, everybody comes and huddles up, and the coach starts speaking spiritually and motivationally about how the practice went, how they can get better. And then afterwards, me and my uncle, we kept on continuing throwing the ball back and forth. And one of the coaches pulled up to my uncle, was like, hey, does he play anywhere? And my uncle was like, nah, he doesn't. His mom can't afford it because we was on food stamps, welfare programs, et cetera, living off her SSI checks and things of that nature. And the coach pulled my uncle to the side, and he was like, I was being nosy. I was over here. And he was like, we'll do whatever we can to help him out to get him on the football field. And from that moment on, it felt like a calling to me because this was something I didn't expect. It's just, I felt connected to the language that he was speaking, the motivation, the smell of the grass, something in it triggered me. I was already naturally good at it because I knew how to catch the pad. Like, football was just naturally good for me, like, for some reason. And having that opportunity right there, I felt like it was like my calling. And so that was the opening door for me at the age of 9 years old, when I just had people believe in me and seeing the gift that I had and just wanted me to help me out on that journey. And so that was the start for me, 9 years old, and my cousin's football practice and people noticing my talents and wanting me to be a part of their team.
That's amazing. Sometimes we need that belief outside of us to get us going, right?
It was a lot of belief. I felt good. I was like, feel so good. They even gave me a nickname. They called me, I don't know why they called me Deion Sanders. I don't even play defense, but they called me Deion. I remember my uncle buying me some cleats, me and my cousin some cleats, and on the back of it had Deion. I don't know why they called me Deion, but that was my nickname for the North San Bernardino Cowboys.
That's what Deion. Is there like a meaning behind that?
Yeah, like Deion Sanders, like prime time. I was like, okay. I would take it. I had the cleats. They put Deion on the back. D out the back of my cleats. But yeah, it just had meaning. And from then on, I mean, I just kept on, not with that persona, but more so of that confidence of, man, you're right. Let me walk with this aura. Like I am that person that they think that I could be. And so as cliche as it may sound, I rented their beliefs of what my potential could be. And I took, great stride in it. And fortunately for me, I was playing up. So they thought I was older than what I really was, but I was 9 playing with 11-year-olds at that time. And that's like the trajectory I've been on for my life, is just always playing up. But, just people believing in me. And so I just had to, because people believed me, I felt like, not pressure, but I felt the responsibility to take ownership in like the work that I put in, because they didn't have to believe in me, but they did. So they're sacrificing something to believe in me. And so it would be a slap in the face if I didn't put the work in to not only prove them that they're right, but also for myself, like, you know what, I can do this. The same belief that they have in them and me, I can have the same thing in myself. So yeah, so it's been good for me.
Absolutely. So more out of a curious question, was that city league at that point, or was that like competitive league?
So it was like a city league. So we called it Junior All-Americans. It's like where the community will get together, put the little football teams together. Every city had their little football team for their community. And so we'll play, different cities. Funny enough, I played against Snoop Dogg's Little League team growing up. And so,
really? Okay.
Yeah. So it was like that. You're a representative of your city and you just go to city within that league and play against individuals.
That's the way to go. Snoop Dogg. Okay. Hopefully you kicked his ass. Just kidding.
I know, right? Yeah, I don't remember if we won or lost, but I do remember playing against his son. I forgot which one it was, but yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Great times.
That's amazing. So city league to high school, I would assume, or bring us along that college journey or the football journey.
Yeah, man. So it's crazy. So growing up, I actually was an avid basketball player. I loved basketball for some reason. I still play football, but for some reason, I thought I was trying to be Trace McGrady, the basketball player, but I love basketball. So there was a time where I stopped playing football and just focused strictly on basketball. And so it was around the time where I was about 10 years old, 10, 11 years old, and my mom married and I got a stepfather in my life, which changed the trajectory of my whole life. And my stepfather was someone that I needed in my life. And also I was someone that he needed because he had kids, but he didn't have the sole custody of his kids. So me and him, we were in need. I needed a father. He needed a son day to day. And so we connected on that piece. But going into my high school year, I was thinking about straight basketball. I'm not playing nothing but basketball. And my stepfather pulled me aside, was like, look, I understand you love basketball. Trust me, I get it. You're trying to be the next Tracy McGrady, but you're 6'1", 6'2". The position you play in basketball, you're going to have to be about 6'9", 6'10", 7 foot. Your dad's tall. He's about 6'4", but I don't see you getting to that, right? And so what he was explaining to me was the marketability around my skill set, who I am, compared to the larger picture. And he said, but football, like if you play football, just think about it. You're 6'2" already. You're going to grow. You're going to get bigger. You're 6'2", 180. Just compare yourself to who's already in a professional field now and what you're at right now. Size-wise, you're already there. You're going to continue to grow your skill. If I'm you, I'll play football. And he was right. When I got my freshman year, I excelled and I was able to be on varsity as a freshman. And then my sophomore year, the following year, that's when I was ranked ESPN top 150, had many schools reaching out to me. And then, as I kept, tracking along my career, I wound up being the number 34 ranked player in the nation at my position and, 4-star All-American, and, many scholarship offers. So because, I listened, was obedient to him and his command in regards to my future potential, what he saw in me, I was able to reap the results of it. And so that's how I got to Utah. And that's kind of like my journey of, continuing on with football, because at one point I wasn't. And at that moment, I actually stopped playing basketball because the coach, because they didn't want me getting injured for football. So it was kind of a choice for me. Like, hey, stay with football, run track so you can get your speed up, go to these camps, get exposure, etc. And that was my journey through high school, and it paid off.
That's amazing, man. We need the good moms in this world, but we definitely need good dads as well, right?
So true.
They both offer amazing things
Hmm.
and they all serve a purpose.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
bring us back to that, like, right? So you went from single mom household
Mhm. Yep.
to having a father.
Yeah.
Did you buy right into that? Were you excited, like, oh my goodness, I get a dad? Or was it like, I
Man,
don't want a house?
dude, it was so much friction between him and I for the first couple years because I feel like the parenting style at first was so forceful. Like, man, you my son, you gotta listen. Like, you my son, but you ain't my son, but you gotta listen to me. And I didn't take heed to that in the beginning because I'm like, man, you ain't my dad. Like, even though me and my dad didn't have a relationship, to the point where, you know, I could even say something like that. But it took time. The first couple of years was a struggle, man. But he kept going. He didn't stop believing in me. And if it wasn't for I call my stepfather my pops. If it wasn't for my pops, man, I wouldn't have been in the position I was in. My mother gave me that fire and that motivation, that internal motivation to go and succeed, to become something because our situation and that purpose. But my pops, man, he gave me that drive, that discipline, that structure, the strategy, the grit and that edginess and that dog mentality. I started to get chills because of it. And as we both learned each other over time, I realized, man, he's really in it for me. And along with him coming into my life, I had two stepbrothers that came into my life too. One, I've been in his life since he was 1 year old, so I don't call my stepbrothers. I call them my real brothers because been with one of them since he was a year old, and I'm all he knows. And so he will come here every weekend or so, or a week with us. And that time with him having a father, it felt good, because for so long I will go to a park and I would see a kid and their father, and I would instantly get angry. And I'm like, am I not valuable enough to have a father in my life? And it used to make me angry, but that anger also fueled me too, to a point where, man, I'm gonna prove my dad wrong. Like he should have never stepped out. Whoop de whoop. And yeah, and then my stepfather, my pops, he kind of nurtured that anger inside of me. He was like, man, I'm here for you. And I think that's what the friction came in about, because I was over here yearning for like my real actual father. And I had to realize, man, he ain't gonna ever come. And so it was kind of a smack in the face to my pops, because my pops was like, I'm here. Like, I'm here, nurturing. I'm here loving on you. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so early on it was friction because I had to realize that my pops was there for the large picture for me to help me get me to where I wanted to be. And I was just sitting here just not being understanding of the situation. But he really, like, for me and my stepfather, he really changed the trajectory of my life. I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for him.
That's amazing. How old were you when he came into your life?
I was around 10 years old. Him and my mom, they met at church. So a little bit about my stepfather, or my pops. He has a troublesome background. He was in the streets, doing all the things, entrepreneurially, illegally, illegal entrepreneurship in the streets, and claiming territories. And so his background, and as he got over, he transitioned and found, spiritually, he found, God and stuff like that, and that changed his life. And so him and my mom met at church, and they kicked it off. About like a year later, they ended up getting married, and that's what happened. And so came into my life around 19 years old, and him and my mom were together until I was a junior in college. And then they end up splitting, and that was a hard time for me as well.
Sure. What a beautiful thing, though. Love's a good thing in this life.
Mm-hmm.
It's a must. Sometimes that comes to an end, as you experience, and what I've experienced. And that can be tough. But I'm glad that the initial part of that rocked your world in the right way.
Yeah, it did. It
And I
did.
hope you know now that you're worthy of a father.
Yes, for sure. Mm.
That's tough, though. What did you ever know your father? We'll call him a father, because
Yeah. Yeah, so I knew like when I was quote unquote living in Houston, because I lived in Texas, like in Houston for my first 4 years of my life. And early on my auntie had to take care of me because my mom was sick in and out of the hospital. So my auntie had to not go to college to take care of me. And so that's why I'm so embedded to my auntie who lives like down the street from my house. And it's weird. She, helps take care of my kids if me and my wife got to go to work and stuff like that. And I'm traveling everywhere. And so she takes care of my kids, which is beautiful. But early on in my life, I would spend time with my dad. I never lived with my dad. I would spend time with him. Funny story about my dad. My dad is named the great Kenneth Scott. So I'm actually a junior. Uh, yeah. So they call my dad the great Kenneth Scott. He was a famous barber stylist. So men and women's hair. He did like the Isley brothers, like the old school Jerry curl, the girls with the short hair. That was my dad's lane. And, he was a big celebratory figure. And at some point, and this is why I can, I have some grace towards him, because at some point he had all that money, he had all that fame and that celebratory status. And then once me and my mom left and his dad passed away, his family and his friends kind of removed, he slipped into drugs, he went into the streets and he lost himself. And he didn't have anybody there to help him, navigate those muddy waters. And so he turned to drugs, which he literally just got out of rehab. And he's about 60-something years old, about like a couple weeks ago or a month ago, and finally starting to get on that trajectory. But that's why I have grace for him, because I look back at my life and I'm like, man, I wish I would have offered him more of an opportunity or even be in a support system for him, because I didn't know what he was going through. And maybe if I would have called him, maybe if I would have connected with him more often, maybe he wouldn't have resulted to trying to harm himself or put things in him to feel better. You just never know. And so I always think of that piece. But as far as my dad, I did know him growing up. I didn't spend a large amount of time with him. During my Houston years, I did. And they say he used to take me around and, his shop. And I used to sweep that shop like I owned it. Like I just always had that mindset. And my dad, he said he would have me carry around a briefcase like a businessman and go to different like the little, not counters, but the little shops within, like the little stands that the barbers do their hair and stuff like that. The little booths, there we go, the little booths. And, I would clean up their place for money and stuff like that. But he always kept me like in that alignment. And so I do see myself in him because we look just alike and I'm a junior, but nobody really knows that. But I wish I was there for him a little earlier, maybe in those soft spots to give him some grace and help him along his journey. But long story short, I didn't know who he was. We talked here and now and then. And something that my mom said that was so crucial to me, she was like, there's going to come a time where it's probably just going to be you and him. And you should try to gain a relationship with him. It was towards the latter part of her years. And I never forgot that. And so I was like, man, maybe I do need to make an effort to make some type of connection. But I just remember my mom telling me that there's going to be a time where it's just going to be you and him. And you're going to have to find a way to, communicate. So, but yeah, that's a little history about my dad.
Kenneth, you gave me the chills, man. I think that's so, one, hats off to you, but also hats off to your dad for changing his trajectory.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that takes choices too, right? Mm-hmm. Like he had to choose to go to rehab. Mm-hmm. He has to choose to stay on that trajectory. So obviously there's deep pain for him and what you went through. But what a beautiful thing to say, you know what? I don't want this anymore. Like, let's change something.
Yep.
And good thing, again, shout out to mom, right? Putting you, sharing that advice to nudge you in the right direction. Sometimes we need that.
Mm-hmm. For real. Because it made me think. I was like, dang, you're right. And that's one thing about my mom too. She was always, and I think that's one thing I get from my mom. She's very empathetic and understanding of people. Even if someone does her wrong for some odd reason, she's always like a servant of goodwill. I remember growing up, we used to have this store across the street from us called Food for Less. And, we were on food stamps and so forth, welfare programs, like I mentioned, and we're in line putting our stuff in a little conveyor belt. And the person in front of us, they looked pretty wealthy to where they had it. And so they finished putting their groceries on there and they swiped their card and it said decline. And dude was like, nah, I got money. Like, and he swiped it again and said decline. And he was taking a little while and he was holding up the line. And, people, in our neighborhood, they gonna get cranky, like, man, hurry up, man. They gonna let you know. And so my mom, I saw, her getting stuff out of her purse, and she just offered to like pay for his stuff on our food stamps. And I'm looking at my mom like, yo. Like, we only get a certain amount of this a month. You're going to take it out of our pocket and give it to him so that he can. But that was just the kind of person my mom was. She was that willing to help someone else in spite of our situation. And so I think that's where I get it from, that servant feeling of being empathetic of other people's situations and giving people grace and connecting with people on a deeper level to figure out, like, man, how can I help you? Just like how you used to text me, like, or were texting me, like, how can I support you? Like, you don't know how like impactful that word is. Like, how can I support you? And that goes a long way. And so I learned that from my mom from an early age.
Let's go, man. That makes me so happy. Well, let's now you obviously had a big transition in your life, right?
Yeah.
You went from college,
Mhm.
and I'm sure there was a brief spot there where it was hard, which I'm excited to get to. But what initially inspired you to go from football to speaking?
Man, what got me from football to speaking, it's crazy. I was actually, so I have 2 degrees at University of Utah, one in economics and one in human development and family studies. And I was doing a project, I think it was year 2014. It was my redshirt junior year, senior year in school, but redshirt junior year in football. And it was a class project. It was me and like 3 others. And I'm the type, like, I wanted to be behind the scenes. I didn't want to be the person talking or anything. And it just wound up happening that the person I was supposed to talk, her voice went out and she couldn't speak our presentation. And so for some reason, they all voted on me to get in front of the class and talk about our presentation that I honestly did not know anything about. I was just there. I'm the athlete. I'm just there. I contributed, but not contributed to the point where I know this thing to be able to speak to the class about. And so I think that was like the changing force, because like once I got up there and started speaking to the class in front of people, like, because it was a lecture style hall, like a movie theater style seating. And I just felt good just presenting in front of people for some reason. Like I was able to connect with them, make them laugh. It was engaging. And the professor at the end was like, man, you're really good at presenting. And I was like, for real? He was like, yeah. And then so like, during the course of my career, I had the privilege of being in like leadership council. And in my senior year, I was a captain. And so the media has always been one of my favorite parts, because people just love to interview me and talk with me, just because I was that charismatic person. And I think blending that with, people hearing my story about my mom, etc., they would invite me to places to like just speak to the kids at like whether it's detention centers, etc. And so in college, I just started getting implemented in places like, hey, come speak here, come speak here. I never thought of it until afterwards, like it could be a career or something. But in college, they started slowly recognizing I had that type of talent, whether the news station wanted me to come to a TV segment, whether the community partner wanted me to go talk to the kids. Like, so people recognized my talent, was like, started putting me in front of places. And it wasn't until later on after college, I realized, oh, shoot, this could be something. And that's kind of what opened my eyes to me being like a quote unquote like speaker, or going to different places and doing these engagements.
Hey, you were getting prepared for what was to come, right?
Yeah.
So how quick was that transition, right? You career in football ends.
Mm-hmm.
How fast of a transition was that to like truly speaking to the kids and helping the world through your message?
It took a while. So after I got done with the University of Utah, man, I had a freaking amazing time in Utah. Utah has a special place in my heart, like for real. I got a great career at Utah on and off the field. On the field, I left as a top 10 all time in like receptions. And then off the field, had many community service awards and accolades, and won most inspirational male of the year. And transitioning, I always wanted to help people. And so my first role was in social work. And that's going into communities, helping individuals. And I used to work in shelters. I worked in fatherhood programs, helping individuals that were incarcerated get back on their feet, drug programs, etc. And so I think during that time, it was just preparing me because I had to go out, advocate, sell people on why my clients need this type of funding to help them out on their feet. And then I transitioned to a sales role, and then going from that a social work life to corporate life, or corporate sales, especially in the high end sales that I was in, it forced me to have to be in front of people, pitch a product, sell a product, present, persuade, all those things that encapsulated. And so it took about a good maybe couple years. Because I had to first learn to myself that, man, I have some expertise that people are willing to listen to me on. And so it took a couple years. I ain't gonna lie. It took a couple years after college and in my professional, career after college and work to understand oh, shoot, people are paying people for this expertise. There's going to be entry level salespeople that want to know, man, how did you make it up into the ranks? How did you transition from that role to be a manager to be now training all the executives and the directors and the C-suite people? How did you go into that role? And then how did you go on social work and partner with all these communities to where now, as they're getting these grants, they're bringing you in so that you can build out programs and stuff like that and be that spokesman. So I just realized that, man, my expertise was valuable, and people was like, you need to be on stage. And they kind of forced me into the light and just giving me opportunities to speak to people, to talk about the things that I was doing and also how it can help their audience.
Absolutely, Kenneth. And the one thing that I just have one thing I love about you and your brand is the fact that you truly remain true to you.
Yeah.
This is a journey to authenticity, right? Mm-hmm. And part of authenticity is who am I? What is my identity?
Mm-hmm.
What was the process of truly finding yourself again, of who you wanted to be after football?
Man, that's a great question. I think the moment it all hit me was spring of, what year was that? It was spring of 2017. So at that time, in December of 2016, my mom had passed away. And leading up to my mom's passing, towards the latter part of her years, she would write in journals. And she was writing in journals literally encapsulating her whole life, her journey through being a mom, lupus, and a kidney transplant. And as I was looking through her notes, it was her exercising the person she is, the person she's becoming, and stuff like that. And so after she passed away, and I went off to the CFL, and I got cut, and then it became a point where man, what am I doing this all for? And I started reading her journals, and it made me think about myself, and I started writing. And I think writing helped me identify stories in my life that were super impactful that I can pull from. And I think those are the moments for me that shifted everything to figure out who I am internally. It was just me writing. And I was able to connect with so many pieces. I was reaching out to different family members about who am I? How was I as a kid? What groomed me to becoming this person? And people would just share stories with me oh man, you was this crybaby old kid running around, or you was this type of kid. And I started connecting all these dots. And so for me growing up, learning who I was going back to those roots, to that inner child in the beginning, and writing it all out, facing, my fears, my successes, literally all that. And so writing was key for me to understanding who I was, and also connecting with individuals that was part of my life to get that third person point of view to see, and further develop, man, who is, K Scott, or who is that little boy Scotty, who was that guy? And obviously music helped too. But for me, it was that writing exercise.
Oh, well, now I'm curious, who's your go-to person you were listening to when you were transitioning?
So, man, I love, my favorite rapper of all time is Jay-Z. And the reason why I love Jay-Z is because his storytelling. I can literally, when he's rapping, I can literally visually see what in the world he's talking about. So for me, my favorite rapper is Jay-Z of all time. and my bad, and any rapper that story tells through their music, that's the people who I connect with most. And so that's who I was listening to. Oh, and another big person was Erykah Badu. I love Erykah Badu. She's authentic and true to herself when it comes to her music. She don't care about nothing. And that was my mom's favorite artist. And so every time I was going through that writing process, I would throw on some Erykah Badu to remind me to, stay grounded, be who I am, because it puts me in that zone. And it took me to a whole different place. I started to get that flow. And once that flow came, everything started rushing out. And so I think those played a big part of my story.
Absolutely. Now, what I've heard through this entire podcast, Kenneth, is that your mom has had a huge impact, not only on you, but the community.
Yeah.
As a result of that, like, her ripple lives on through you, right? And through everybody she's touched. All that great advice, all the journal entries that you read, if you could just take one piece of advice from your mom today, what's been the most impactful for you?
Whew. Well, you're going to make me tear up, man. Man. Whew. Dang. The one big piece of advice that, always sits with me, man. I just have to tell you the story because it takes me back to when I was a young boy, about 9 years old, right before my stepfather came in my life. And we was living in a 600 square foot apartment in Rialto, California, where we were living at that time. And I remember it was one late night and I'm just laying in my bed and I started hearing some things on the other side of my wall. And so at first I thought I was hearing things. It was middle of the night, late night. And I get out of my bed, I pull the covers up and I get out of my bed and I walk over to the wall and I started to put my ear to it. And as I put my ear to it, the sobbing and the crying, just began to get more frequent and intensified to the point where literally my body, I had my back against the wall, like my body, as the more I heard her cry, it just kept getting breaking down to the point where I just fall to the ground, face covered in tears, because I couldn't bear to hear her on the other side continue to cry, because she was crying because physically it was tough for her because she had lupus. Emotionally, nobody was there to support her. Financially, we didn't have it all. And she was crying because her inability to support me. And I remember finally getting the courage. And I used to ask my mom, like, Mom, are you okay? And my mom, she's super stubborn. She'd be like, I'm okay, baby. Mama's all right. Like, I knew she was lying. And I remember one time I asked her affirm again, like, Mom, are you okay? Like, I'm yelling at this point. And she wipes her sniffles and she said, everything's going to be all right. I promise. And so that phrase to me, literally right there, no matter what I go through in life, like the pressures that I face, the conflict, the adversity, the challenges that we all go through, like, I just remember that one saying, in the midst of it all, everything's going to be all right. And literally, I just get through it and like my day just gets better just from that little phrase right there. And so if anybody's out there, no matter what you're going through, just say that little phrase. And then that little phrase gives you some positivity, some gratitude, some hopefulness on the other side that, you know what, things are going to be all right. And I'm going to keep pushing it. So that's what I would tell people.
Man, you just took me through a whirlwind of emotions. I'm sure anybody listening experiences the same, but wow, man.
Yeah.
And I don't know your mom. I would have been blessed to know her, of course, because she sounds amazing. But I could just hear, like, when you're watching that movie and that's the power of storytelling, right?
Right.
When you tell a story where anybody can see it in their own life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the truth, right? Our stories, when we look back on our story from child on, it all makes sense. Like, oh, I did this, which led me here. I did this, which led me here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the power of storytelling, is I look back on my life and even the times when I didn't think it was going to be all right, everything was all right.
It was, man. Oh, man. And, and it's crazy because now, as far as business, I remember when I was first creating my LLC, I was like, man, what am I going to name it? And so And that's what I named my LLC. So my LLC that I created is called Leave a Blessing, and it's her initials, LAB. So my mom's name is Latricia Anita Banks, and so I was like, okay, I have LAB. All right, what goes with LAB? And I just think about my mom, the legacy that she had, and so I was like, man, leave a blessing, because every time she connected with someone, her thought was like, and the blessing doesn't have to be monetarily. A blessing could be a word of wisdom. A blessing could just be you supporting that person. A blessing can be anything. Just like in the good book, it says, when people are praying, give us today our daily bread. Like our daily bread isn't most likely physical bread, but bread is something that's going to nourish us throughout the day to get us through that day. And so I look at the blessing as the same thing, like leave a blessing. Like, and so when I was creating my LLC, I was like, man, and so that's what keeps me going through it all. And so, yeah, man, it's just some good times.
Of course. Now you wrote this book.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Congratulations. It's just, I know you've been doing this for a long time, right? But there's usually something that inspires a book.
Yeah.
What inspired this book for you?
They always talk about what would you say to your younger self, right? And I think that's what inspired the book for me, because those moments within that chapter it's fictitious, but it's based on my real story through the chapters of my life. And it takes me back to that spring of 2017. That's the moment where it all starts for that character and that story. And the person that's looked to as the mentor is all the people that was a culmination of my life that gave me little gems. And so I use that one character as the many people in my life that gave me those gems. And so what inspired me to write that book was I wanted to share with that younger me what advice I would give in the form of another character. And so, yeah, so that's what inspired me to write it.
I love it, man. I just for some like vulnerability sense. So the next like not battle, I'm doing good, but something that I've struggled with for the entirety of my life is I don't remember my childhood.
Oh.
So I literally can start to tell you my story at about the age of 16. Anything before that, it feels everything but a dream to me. So one thing I really want to thank you for is something you mentioned is you went and talked to the aunts, the uncles, all of these people like, hey, how was I as a kid? How was I as a teenager? I really I look at pictures. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like I can slightly remember that, but that's what I'm going to be doing next, man. And I'll tell you, this book hits home. You write it in such a beautiful way that you can just tell that you just care so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So I'm certainly a ripple in your life. Like you've touched my life, and I just know how much this podcast is going to touch the world as well.
Thank you. You know, it's my grandmother. We call her Momo. All three of my grandmas, because I have my pop's mother, and I have my dad's mom, and I have my mom's mom. But my mom's mom, we call her Momo. And Momo, she has an inventory. So Momo is Grandma Gloria in the book. And so Momo, every time we go over there, she brings out like all these pictures of us when we were kids. And that allows me the time to like actually hold up a picture. It's like, Grandma, tell me a little bit about this picture right here. What was I like as that kid? Like, tell me all about this kid. And so that helped me along too. And so now with my daughters, I try to take as many pictures as I can and videos, because I'm like, man, one day they're going to want to look back and be like, Dad, how was I as a kid? And if I don't have that inventory, then they're going to be missing out on maybe some key moments that literally they could have like leaned on in their future as a foundation to be something. Like, for instance, when I was talking about when I was 9 years old and my mom said everything would be all right. Now that's been like a staple in my life. Like, man, whatever I go through, everything gonna be all right. Or even my auntie, when I was, I don't know this because I was a couple years old, but my auntie going through her sacrifices of delaying college so that she can take care of me. Like, those are sacrifices. And later on in life, when I'm thinking about those hard times, running through those gassers, you know, those moments where I wanted to give up, I can't give up because people sacrifice their lives to put me into this position right now that compounded to that point. And so definitely going back to the childhood brings a lot of foundational moments. And I would advise anybody to just ask your family, grab some pictures and be like, tell me about this. Just tell me about it. And then you're able to create your own inventory of stories surrounding that.
Yeah, it helps you build your character, right?
Yep.
Validates you and your growth, who you're becoming, and also some things that you probably are like so grateful for. Like, oh, I'm so grateful I overcame that
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
one. With that, so as we've transitioned, right? You've transitioned to being a husband, a father, so many beautiful things in your life. What are the principles that you still live by to this day that help you, one, continue to become more,
Mhm.
but also continue to reap the results and the fruits of life to
Yeah.
bless people, the community, as well as your family and yourself?
And that's big. If I had to think about that, that's a really good question. There's really four things that I think about now. Is the first one is purpose. Like I'm trying to be as intentional as I can be with relationships or the impact I would like to have on someone. So the first one is purpose. The second one is passion. I have to be fired up about it because that's what's going to get me rolling out of my bed. Because nowadays, sometimes at that 6 o'clock hour, I'm like, man, I want to hit snooze again. But it's that passion that gets me out of that bed to want to, all right, let's go at it. To keep me up till 2 o'clock in the morning working on something. And then next is just people. I love being surrounded by people. I love stories. And so every time I get to ask somebody a question about their life, I love hearing about it because even though I wasn't that person telling that story, like hearing your story, I can now then relate to someone else that I don't know that I probably could have just met. And they're like, man, I got a friend named Braiden. He went through a similar situation and look at the outcome that he was able to have. Right. But it's through your story, through other people's story that help other people. And so that's why I say people is the third pillar. And the last one is just perseverance. Like literally, no matter what, everything's going to be all right. And that's the mentality that I have. And so perseverance has kept me through a lot through challenges of work, personal life, whatever it is. Just having that hanging over my head to persevere is that, man, everything's going to be all right. You're going to get through it, man. It's going to hurt, but you're going to get through it. And so those four things right there, purpose, passion, people, and perseverance, man, those are the things that drive me on a day-to-day, without a doubt.
Let's go, man. So let's break that down, right? We talk about purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Purpose, like we all have our own worldviews, right?
Right.
My wife has her worldview. I have my worldview. They're both right.
Right.
You have your worldview. Like everybody has their worldview and it's always right.
Mm-hmm.
Purpose can mean different things to people. So what does purpose mean to you?
Purpose for me is fulfillment, like actual true joy. When it may sound crazy. I love doing good. All right, this may get too deep, but I'm the type of person that can literally want to help. Like I will go out there. I'm the guy. This is just a good analogy. I'm the type of guy. Purpose to me is just doing something that I'm just called to do, with the understanding that it may not come right now, but I know on the back end it's going to come later down the line. I'm the type of person that I will go out to feed the homeless and wound up being homeless because I feel like I've been called to do that. And that's what I'm going to do. It's just like this nagging voice in my head that keeps telling me your job's not done in that realm. And so purpose to me is like something that keeps you up at night of like for instance, there's this idea I had or been having, and it stay in my head until I actually put the work in to do it. And it's a tech product that I'm working on right now. And so it's like my purpose for that tech product is to help the many others, or especially that kid in my story that I'm trying to help. And so purpose to me is that thing that's just stuck in your head that is just not getting out. No matter what you're trying to tell yourself, what you're trying to tell, the universe, the voice in your head, like, nah, that's not it. Purpose is that thing that's just nagging, and it's not going to stop until you fulfill it or even take strides to it. And that's me. That's just been a part of my journey. And I always tell people, there's when it comes to purpose, you can have multiple purposes because there's different seasons in your life that call you to do different things. Like at one point in my life, my purpose wasn't to be a speaker. My purpose was to do something else. And so every season in your life has a different purpose. And so it's just whatever that calling is or your voice in your head is telling you to do at that time, to be intentional with your time. That's kind of like what you're supposed to be purposeful towards doing.
That's fair. So now I want to take this even deeper here.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's somebody out there today listening to this, and they're thinking of that voice and what it's calling them to do.
Mm-hmm.
But there's that doubt. Like, is this possible? I know everybody else is accomplishing, the speaking or this business.
Yep.
Break that down. Like, have you always had that belief that, like, hey, you know what, I can go accomplish my purpose? Or how have you overcome your limitations in your mind to make it a reality?
Man, that's deep. There's this guy, his name's Omar Bolden. He actually was my high school teammate when I was a freshman coming in to high school. He was a senior, and he was the biggest recruit out of our high school. And I always admired him and was on the journey to taking that throne because I was like, man, that's what I wanted to be. And eventually I was able to be in that same realm. But about a couple of years ago, I went to my godbrother's wedding. And at the wedding, him and I were talking about the things that we're doing in our life. And it was around the time where I was getting ready for my TED Talk. I was getting ready to have that halftime show that I'm performing at. And as I'm talking to him, he's complimenting me on all the things that I'm doing. I kept on saying, yeah, man, I'm trying, I'm just doing my thing. I'm just trying. He was like, nah, he just stopped me. He was like, nah, man, you doing. And he there's one thing that he said to me that I don't forget and I haven't forgot. He said, just remember, things in motion stay in motion. And what he means for me, as far as the bigger picture for me, we always look at this desired outcome that we're trying to achieve as something grandiose, something huge, right? But if I take those small little steps like a flywheel, he was like, things in motion stay in motion. Like if you literally just keep pushing, no matter if it's one step today, 1 inch today, whatever it is, but keep pushing, persevering through that. Like as things stay in motion, you're eventually going to eclipse that to becoming or accomplishing that said thing that you want to do. And then over time, because you're getting these small wins across the way, that confidence is going to scale. Like for instance, when I was doing this tech product and I was working on the front end type things, at first I was scared. I'm over here doing 3 hours of YouTube. And then I finally was like, you know what, let me just work on one thing at a time. And as I kept on crossing off things off the list, I began getting more confident and our confidence started growing. I was like, man, I could do this. This is nothing. And it's now to a point where my friends ask me, how in the world did you do it? And I'm confident enough because I kept things in motion and built that confidence to show other people like, this is how I did it. And so I think for people that's doubting themselves, it's just they haven't put enough reps in, right? I believe the more reps makes you more confident. And I know that's a sports thing too, but in life, man, if you keep things in motion, they stay in motion. And the more reps you get, the more confident you become to kill that doubt.
That's the reality. And the one thing that I'll leave on this, followed by some other content text, is if not now, then when?
Mm-hmm.
If not you, then who?
Oh, yes.
Right? Like, why not you? Why not now?
Right.
Like, if you can really see what you truly desire in this life, whether that's who you want to be, relationships you want to build, or a dream you want to pursue, know what you want, create a plan on how to get there, and then just don't stop.
That's it.
Like, really, like, who cares? I'm not saying your dream's going to take 10 years, right?
Right.
But if it takes 10 years, you're going to be there anyway.
Right.
Like, right? We're young.
Mm-hmm.
What is another 10 years? Like, if you struggle just a little bit for 10 years, and in 10 years, your dream's a reality, you have the rest of your life to live.
Mm-hmm.
Or you live the rest of your life with regret because you didn't pursue it.
Ooh. Man, that regret is so heavy too. So heavy. I I still have regret on some of my football decisions. I'm like, dang. It's funny because when I was training for the NFL draft and stuff, there was like some agents that I knew. My agent was great. I just felt like positioning wise, as far as how he can market me to different places in positions because of his connections. My wife used to tell me like, man, you should go with that agent because he has connections to this. He has more. And looking back at it, I'm like, dang, I should have listened to it. Like, you never know. I could have still be, and that regret weighs heavy. And it's like, dang, you can't go back and change it at all. Like, and so I agree with you, man. Like, if you have something that's aching at you, man, you better do it now and as much as you can, because man, when you 42 and you be like, man, if I knew back then, or if I would have done this, man, that regret's gonna be like a huge weight on you that's gonna be hard to get up off until you do something that's you finally challenging about, like to kind of like outweigh the weight that you felt for so long.
Absolutely. Us men need good girls in our life, man.
My wife is everything, man. She, if I would have listened to her, I probably would have been much far along in my journey than I currently am. But she's definitely the rock, like the neutral source for everything that happens around here, and definitely in the house, outside the house, my decision making. I literally go to her to get the final say off in regards to like, man, babe, I have this thing right here, just to get her blessing, because she knows me, she knows my heart, but also she's not thinking emotionally like me. She's thinking like facts too. So she has a good balance of how to like navigate those waters when it comes to that. So I always look to her as someone I can go to and get some ideas off of or confirmation off of. And I ain't gonna lie, every time I not went against, but like didn't do what she advised me to do, she'd just be like, you made the decision. I told you. I tried to give you, and I'm like, dang, I should have listened to her. But yeah.
Don't say that. I know you told me, but don't say it. Just kidding.
You know it.
That's why we need each other, right? And she's I already know you offer so much goodness to her as well.
True,
man. So purpose. Let's transition to passion. What does passion mean to you?
Man, passion for me, I have butterflies in my stomach when I'm doing something that I really love and enjoy doing. Like when I'm up and doing a presentation and I get done, I can still keep smiling like hours after, because that's just what I love to do. That's that realm, the circle. And so passion for me is like, as cliche as it may sound, what's the thing that give you that butterflies in your tummy that it just keeps you smiling from ear to ear to where your cheeks hurt? And that's something that's pure joy. That's something you can't really, buy. It's something that, you truly love, that makes you get up. And so that's what I would say passion is for me. It's something that butterfly in your tummy that just won't stop.
So what I'm hearing, and tell me, because this is how I see like purpose and passion like are interconnected, right?
Mm-hmm.
Purpose to me is like, hey, what are you naturally good at?
Mm-hmm.
The passion comes in as like, hey, what do you truly love? You could be naturally good at something. If you don't love it, you're not going to want to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, has blessed us all with talents.
Yep.
You need to find that talent that you love, that passion, and go make it happen.
Exactly. Man, passion, life without passion makes things dull, right? Like I could be purposeful or something, but if you don't have that excitement around it, passion to me adds that color to things. Like purpose is like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. It's kind of black and white, but passion adds that colorfulness to it. That makes it vibrant, makes people want to be like, dang, I love the beauty in that. Because you're operating in such frequency that's like, dang, it makes people want to stop and look at the gallery now. It's like, dang, like this looks good because, you're walking in your purpose and you're passionate about it. So yeah, I agree with you. It's very interconnected when it comes to that.
It's that authenticity piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why we do what we do. We're not just interviewing people making magic happen. Like that's great. We're interviewing people making magic happen that love what they do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's powerful. Now, perseverance. right? We talk about perseverance and people. What what I look into that is like I also intertwine perseverance and people as one as well.
Yeah.
Because yes, I persevere for me. Yes, I persevere because I promised myself something or my wife or a stranger something. But without the people,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how perseverance can take place. Not to say it can't happen.
Right.
But for me, I persevere because the people around me.
Yep. That's true. That's facts. That's facts. Like, man, like as a story I told my dad, like literally we were both. I look at my dad's story and I look at my story. And the only reason why I went the route that I did and he went the route that he did was because of people. Like he didn't have the support system that I did. Like when everything went to haywire for me, when my mom passed away, my career was gone because I got released. I didn't have no job, didn't have no income, and Section 8 wasn't going to pass the housing down to me because, they goes to the next person on the list. I was at odds with everything. But because of the people, because of the support I had, people were literally loaning me like places to stay. I didn't have to pay for food, nothing, right? Until I was able to get back on my feet. However, on the flip side, my dad in his story, he lost his career, money, family. His dad passed away, no support. He turned to drugs, streets, etc. Right? Similar story, different past, but the main factor in both was the people. He didn't have the people. I had the people, and that was the reason why I've been on a better trajectory than he has because of that. So you're totally spot on. People, you definitely need people in on the path of your perseverance, without a doubt.
And perseverance, right? You persevere different things, the right thing, the wrong thing. It's just that people help you persevere the right thing.
Yep.
Well, take that back. It could also be the
Yeah.
side of that, right?
Yeah. Depending on the environment. Yep.
That's the importance is like, hey, if you're building your purpose,
Mhm.
you have a passion for it.
Yep.
You have people that
Mhm.
are aligned with that purpose and passion,
Mhm.
and you persevere it.
Mic drop. Come on now.
It, it doesn't matter if it's tomorrow or in 10 years.
Mhm.
The right people will still be around.
Yep.
Your dreams will become a reality.
Yep.
And you're going to live that butterfly life in your stomach every single day at some point, as long as you just keep going.
And just remember, everything will be all right.
Everything's going to be all right. And the one last thing that I want to leave with this is you, me, anybody listening, you're probably actually living your dream, some sort of what you used to dream about.
Mm.
May not be perfect, right? It might not be what you exactly planned on, but you're living some sort of your dream right now, and it's important to realize that you've come a far way.
That's facts. That's facts. Wow. That's facts. You know, it's funny. You mentioned that. Like, I think it was my senior year in high school. Me and my god brother, we would just be hanging around. We used to talk about like life, like when we're adults, like 10 to 15 years down the line. And we used to imagine, like, man, what would your life be like? Like, what would your family look like? What type of wife would you want, etc. And literally, I remember our conversation having. I tell my wife about it, and it's crazy. You're saying it like we are living somewhat of a dream that we once had. And that's what I had. I was like, man, I wanted to be a father. This is the type of wife I want, athletic, blah, blah, blah. My wife used to play basketball at Utah as well. I didn't say as well, but played at basketball at Utah. Obviously, I played football, but have a family, live on our own. It's just, that was my dream when I was younger, like thinking about, man, how I want my family. I wanted a cohesive family to where it's, like it's no friction, it's no confrontation. Like it's man, that hit home for me what you just said. We are living our dream life and we just don't know. Because I just remember accurately me and my god brother having that conversation, what we would want our future lives to be, and now seeing him married, him having a kid and living in his successful career and etc. It's like, dang, I remember those moments, bro. So you spot on.
Makes you happy when you really look back and you're like, yeah, dang, I've come pretty far.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Oh man. Dang.
Well,
Damn.
as we come to a close here, Kenneth, I have a couple quick questions.
Uh-huh.
My first one that I want to start with is, right, you got this book, The Other Side of Once Was, which I'd encourage everybody go pick up.
Jesus.
You have the podcasts and the speeches and your content on social media.
Mm.
If everything was wiped off, what's the one message you would leave to the young entrepreneurs looking to become the best version of themselves, but also to create their dream life?
Man, the one thing I will leave them with is just for them to know that pressure is no match for purpose. And I always tell people that, like, we all have the pressures financially, physically, mentally, emotionally, all those pressures that come and haunt us. But none of those pressures amount to our purpose, right? And the purpose is the staple. The purpose is that foundation of what we're called to do from the voice, God, universe, whatever you call it. Our purpose is that standstill thing that's going to keep us afloat through all those pressures that's navigating us through the highs of there's pressure that keeps you motivated, etc. And then there's also pressure that makes you feel like the weight is on your shoulders and trying to navigate through like rough sands and things of that nature. So, since pressure is so variable and that purpose is so fixed, right? Don't allow those pressures to overmatch your purpose and what you intend to do in life. And so whatever it is you're trying to do or accomplish, man, go get it. Because like Braiden said, man, sacrifice the time now. So 10 years from now, you can look back and it's like, man, this was all worth it. This was my dream that I wanted. And so that's what I would tell them. If everything was white clean, just remember as you navigate these little muddy waters and this crazy sandstorm that you're going through, everything will be all right. And that the pressures you go through, no match for your purpose.
Let's go, man. What's your definition of an authentic life?
Man, not having to, I was just talking to somebody about that. Man, the authentic life to me is just naturally showing up as awkward and weird and unique as you are without no judgment. Like, I know that sometimes I'm the corniest, goofiest, the worst dad joke teller ever. And so if I'm in places and I can't be that, that's a problem for me. And so like being able to be who I am without having the fear of people judging me or saying, oh, dude, you weird, bro. Like that. Yeah. I can't deal with it. But if I can show up to places and you hear me being cracking dad jokes or smiling, laughing, joking, whatever it is, that's how you know I'm in a comfortable place with the right people. And so that's what I would say. If you get that environment that's around you that can allow you to be you, your unique self, if you were just to nobody watching, then that's a good environment for you.
Let's go, man. With that in mind, how can me and my audience be supporting you besides picking up the book, of course?
Man, I think how your audience could support me is and it's the servant in me. It's more so recognizing their own gifts and utilizing their own gifts so that they could be able to leave a blessing on their life. Because I know as much as they support me, it's great. But if they could support themselves, right, and do the things that they want to do in their life, obviously we're talking about compound and ripple effect, right? It's that outcome is going to outweigh far more than what they could just do for me personally. So if they want to do something for me, do something for themselves in regards to recognizing their gifts or utilizing their gifts so that they can leave their own footprint on the world to create, that ample effect or that ripple effect that, we all need out here.
Absolutely. I can already see it. Somebody in like a couple years is going to be like, Kenneth, oh my goodness. I listened to you on Braiden Belnap's podcast, and because of you, I did XYZ.
Oh,
and I just want to like encourage you listening today that can be you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like go chase that purpose, go chase that passion, persevere and build a good family, build community around you, and everything's going to be all right.
Everything.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on, Kenneth.
Oh man, you bet. I appreciate you having me on, man. Thank you.
Of course. Have a good one, everybody.
Thanks so much for joining us today on Journey to Authenticity. If you liked what both myself and Kenneth had to say, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. This helps to ensure that we get the most interesting and highly qualified guests to help you come transform your life. Also, why I have you here. I want to bring your attention to my book, The Code of Transformation. We talked all about perseverance today, making your dreams a reality, and doing what's necessary to become the person qualified to make that a result in your life. My book, The Code of Transformation, will walk you through 7 core steps in depth to help you transform your life, become that person that is capable of making their dreams a reality. With that in mind, head to the link below, and I hope you have a wonderful rest.